Oh, hey, the lads, guys. Welcome back to the Irish Mag podcast. I've got a special guest with me today, and his name is Curtis Pay, formerly and more importantly known as the Reality Cheque Podcast on YouTube, guys. Please check it out. It's brilliant. Curtis, how's you?
I'm all good, mate. Thank you very much for having me on.
No, God, it was an absolute honor. As I say, I've watched some of the content and I loved it, bro. And you seem to be doing very well. Like, I seen your first video, bang views. I was like, yo, this guy knows what he's at.
Yeah, man, it's good. I mean, I started it off last month. Basically, I was just a bit bored during lockdown, and I thought, what can I do to kind of pass the time? I'm on furlough at work, so basically, I was watching some podcasts, and I was just thinking that I could do this. Like, I'd enjoy to do this kind of stuff. So I kind of combined my two main interests, which are junk reality TV, which I love to binge, and sports. So basically, I thought, how can I do this? So basically, I've been getting like a collection of guests together, messaging their agents on email, Instagram, all that kind of stuff, and it's starting to get there now. I've just recorded one with Nathan Henry from Geordie Shore, actually, so it's good timing for the Geordie podcast.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that was a really good one. That's coming out on Sunday, so keep your eyes peeled.
yeah, definitely keep an eye on that. As a former Geordie Shore fan, I would definitely keep my eye on that.
Yeah, man,
Um,
it's a good watch.
Brilliant. No, as I say, so just as I say, as you let you let the viewers know there. So it is, as I say, guys, I highly recommend his content. It's brilliant, and he does get quite a high caliber guest on. In regard to what sort of made you go and think, you know what, how can I get these guys on? How can I get big stars of sports? Like as I say, you've got the rugby stars, and then you got Nathan from Jody Shore.
Yeah.
What made you think? How can I get these? What? Well, obviously, there's obviously a money aspect involved, which we're not going to get into. But what made you think I can get these guys on my podcast and chatting?
Well, I just thought at the end of the day, like, yeah, they're celebrities and they're sports stars and stuff, but we're all still humans. Like, surely people want to interact with people, want to share their stories and share their careers. And I thought that as long as I'm providing content that interests them and they enjoy filming, well, then why not come on? So obviously, Ollie Williams was my first guest from Love Island. I went to the same school as him, so we had kind of connections that way. So I already knew him. We were already mates and stuff. So that was pretty straightforward. But from there, I guess I'm just kind of just it's kind of just like I'm emailing agents, I'm emailing people, and in my kind of mindset is if they don't reply, they don't reply. I've kind of got nothing to lose.
That's a fair point. Yeah, as I say, it's not going to come out publicly that you didn't get. No, that is,
Exactly.
it's fair. Yeah. No, okay, it's just brilliant to see what you're doing. In regards, as I say, the sports, give us a
Yes.
bit of your sports background. Do you obviously football being number one sport? What sort of is your fan and stuff?
Yeah. So football is the main passion in life. Kind of about every. I mean, this time right now that we're in without any football is a tough one. But I mean, like I said, the Bundesliga is just back. But yeah, I'm a massive Chelsea fan. Have been
Oh,
since the day I was born. My old man actually, so he used to work at Stamford Bridge, like selling hot dogs. He used to
yeah.
live up there, so that's how he started supporting them. And then basically, as soon as I was started playing and started watching football, Chelsea were the team.
That's amazing. So your old man used to sell, like, this is obviously before Stamford Bridge, before the money. Then he would
Yes,
have
yeah,
been.
back in the day.
Whereabouts was he situated, like in regard to stands, and was he like a
Basically the
season
whole
ticket holder and stuff?
he was basically he was employed by the club to literally walk around the stand with a box selling hot dogs. And he would basically get obviously like free tickets to the games because he was working for the club and he was basically just selling these hot dogs. Um, and yeah, that's how he got into it. That's how he started loving the club, and then it kind of came to me from there.
Brilliant. So, like, obviously, then as your dad was obviously working, you obviously had access then to go into the facility, like, go into the stadium, and you were lucky enough then that way to get not a free ticket, but a reduced price ticket then.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, it was a few years ago to be fair, but so that was when I was a lot younger. But now, so that was probably I must have been like 90. So now he moved down to Cornwall. So we both live in Cornwall now. So it's a bit of a trek away now, but we still go. We still try and go twice a year. Um, been to a few games. I feel like we've been to a few away games as well, and the away games are the best ones. They're the ones that
Yeah,
atmosphere wise, because the fans that go to away games are like die-hard
they're
fans,
the, yeah, they're
like
the
yeah,
hardcore ones.
hardcore crew. So like when you go amongst those fans, it's someone else. It's a pretty mental atmosphere.
I didn't know. It's a fantastic story there. So, do you and your father then? What would have been the most recent game, and probably the what's your youngest? Your sort of your your youngest memory of the club and what's your most recent memory, obviously, then of the club now?
Right, so the first game I went to watch was actually an away game. It was actually with my stepdad, to be fair. He took me first, which I don't think my dad was very happy about. No, it didn't go down very well. But my stepdad basically took me for my birthday when so I'm 22 now. So it must have been about 10 years ago. So it must have been about 11 or 12. And we went to Aston Villa away. That was the first game, and it was just mental. I just remember being there and just being in awe, like the size of the stadiums and stuff. Obviously, you watch it on TV, but being there is just mental. And most recent, when was the last game we went to? It was actually another away game. To be fair, it was Southampton away last season.
Gee, that's the farther south.
Yeah. Because obviously you're based in Ireland, aren't you?
Yeah, well, the north of Ireland. Yeah, no, funny enough on the time. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, obviously for us, London is about 4.5 hours away. So the closest games to us are Birmingham. The Midlands are a bit closer, kind of South Coast, Birmingham, South Coast, like Southampton and Bournemouth. They're the kind of closest ones for us to get to. But yeah, I mean, the away games are mad. Stamford Bridge is obviously amazing as well. I've been to a few Champions League games under the lights. They're pretty special.
I'll definitely get you to talk about that because I was going to ask you obviously further on in the episode about the famous night in Munich. But
yes.
So, what would have been your favorite Champions League game you've been to, or what ones have you been to? Probably be a better question.
So I've been to the best one I've been to was a quarterfinal game. Who were we playing? I think it was actually the year we won it. We played Benfica at home. To be fair, we're actually recording this on a very special day. I mean, you're a Newcastle fan. I don't know if you know, but it's actually 8 years to the day that Chelsea won the Champions League.
Nice, won the Champions League. I seen that there because I seen a picture of Drogba earlier on social media.
Mental.
Gone around with it.
Unbelievable. Yeah. That day was unbelievable. So it was obviously 8 years ago. So I was only like 14, but I still remember it. Me and my dad were watching it in his house, and the penalty shootout was honestly the most nervous I've ever been for anything in my life. I was sat behind the sofa, like peering over the sofa, just watching the penalties. And when Mata missed the first one, I was like, "Oh no, we've messed up here. Like we've lost it." And then somehow it was like throughout the whole campaign. So like obviously, Villas-Boas was obviously in charge when we started the campaign, and then we got spanked away at Napoli, and it was like, well, we're out here then. And then somehow Di Matteo comes back. We turned that one around. And then we had the Benfica game, which was the one I went to, which we won 2-1 at home and won 3-1 in aggregate. And then the Barcelona games were again mental. Like we scraped a 1-0 win at home and then go to the Nou Camp and Terry gets sent off. So we were down to 10 men. Then Iniesta scores. So we're 1-0 down. And then I think Busquets scored, so we're 2-0 down. So we're 2-1 down on aggregate with 10 men in the Nou Camp against potentially one of the best teams of all time. And then somehow we win. I mean, Ramirez scores the chip, and then his back's against the walls, and then everyone remembers Torres' goal when Gary Neville has an orgasm on camera.
Publicly.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So I'll bring it sort of back then, as I say. So does your father still work for the club?
No, not anymore, no. So obviously living down here, I think kind of when he moved down here to settle down and stuff, that's when it stopped. But I mean, he's still. We're both kind of like diehard fans. Obviously, followed the club for years now, and like you said, like we mentioned off camera before, the whole Abramovich takeover thing was obviously big. I mean, Chelsea fans get stick because like we had no history before Abramovich, blah blah blah. Which is fair enough, but then again, it's the same as most of the clubs these days that winning trophies, like Man City, for example. But I mean, we were winning trophies before Abramovich came. I mean, we won like the Cup Winners' Cup in 97, 98. We won the FA Cup in 97. So we were winning trophies before he came. It just happened that this Russian billionaire walked in with all this cash, and I'm more than happy that he started spending it.
Yeah, so that's something I want to ask you about because, as you know, Newcastle, as you know, are currently in a situation of, will we get taken over, will we not? And for me, as a Newcastle fan, every time we seem to get close to it, there always seems to be a hurdle. I want to know, as a Chelsea fan, when Abramovich came in, did any of you Chelsea fans get backlash in regard to social media? Did you ever sort of experience that where you think the clubs were trying to stop the takeover from you obviously then going on to progressively, take over?
I feel like for you boys, it's definitely worse because social media is a lot bigger now than it was. Like online stuff wasn't even that big back in the day. When Abramovich came in. But now, like you said, I feel like as well, because Newcastle, like you said, it's happened a few times now where you've had like collapses of takeovers. Like it's been in the news, it's happening tomorrow, and then it doesn't. So, but now I feel like this one is the most legit one because it's been on the news that the deposit's been paid, the contracts have been signed. So I mean, as a football fan, Newcastle. You're a massive club. Like you've got a class stadium, a class fan base. Like history is mad. Like so for me, I'm pretty excited to see Newcastle hopefully get this owner come in, spend some money, and become a top class club again. Because it makes the Premier for anyone like it makes the Premier League more exciting. The fact that there's going to be another team who, if you spend the money properly, you're going to be a competitor. I mean, from your point of view, what's it like? What's your kind of thought about how you could potentially be challenging for titles and the Premier League?
Yeah, like it's for me, I always grew up. The most sort of memory would have been Sir Bobby, so I remember them days, and you just think when Ashley bought the club. Obviously, we were in million. I think it was like 130, 40 million. The club was in debt, so we owe him that statue. I'll give him always that. But for me, back to the question, you always get excited. You always think, wow, is it ever going to happen to my club? And when you see this Bin Salman boy from Saudi Arabia, that's 230 billion, he's pumping money left, right, and centre. You just think, can we be the next City? Can we attract big players? And this for us, I'm obviously a lot of Newcastle fan groups on social media. Jimmy Redknapp made a good point, which hurt, I would say, a lot of the guys in the Northeast quite a lot. It's hard for a Newcastle or any club further, in my opinion, than Manchester to attract players because it's cold. And I can agree.
Really?
So, yeah, so Jamie Redknapp said that, and I think it was on one of the off scripts on Sky Sports, and that didn't go down well for the fans. And I sort of agree because, as I say, it's for me that we haven't had a big name player since Shearer, and it was 2000, and that was nearly 290 when Shearer won the league at Blackburn, so it was in 99, 2000 when we got Shearer. And Newcastle haven't, in my opinion, been at that caliber since. Like the most exciting player we've had in the last 20 years, in my opinion, has probably been Nobby Solano, guy, back boy, real. So the club, the last 10 years for me, the club it's under Ashley's term for 13 years. It's just been deteriorating. We've been relegated twice. We've got scraps. We've boycotted the stadium. We've done everything, and as I say, it's getting so close, and every day we're hoping to wake up and just see it in your phone, see it on any sort of visual, like anywhere online that is completed. But I don't know, honestly, for me, sitting here as a Newcastle fan, I've gotten excited before. Like when Amanda Stavely tried to buy us the first time, I got excited because she did seem interested. She was caught at a couple of the games. She was caught at St. James's. I got excited. Well, that didn't turn out well. So I do believe this one does have more of a legitimate chance. But I just feel with Saudi having these, going back to their human rights thing and being sports, trying to stop it for obviously legal streaming issues. And there was a widow of a wife that apparently Saudi Arabia, they're just trying to cover it up. So there's quite a lot of that's why I asked, did you ever, Chelsea fans, did you ever experience anything like that where there was always the result? For me, I feel like a lot of sabotage is going into this to stop Newcastle. I don't know if it's England or just against people in the Northeast.
There's a vendetta against you.
Yeah, is it just did you ever experience?
I mean, I was very young, so I wouldn't be able to kind of say from my point of view. But I mean, I haven't heard of anything like that. I think it was a bit more straightforward with our takeover. But like you said, people seem to be more reluctant to want this takeover to go through, which I, like I said before, I'm all for it because I want Newcastle to be big again. So it would be a very, very, very big shame if something happened and it didn't go through. But I honestly think this is the one. I reckon this time, I bet you'll be buzzing to get. Like you said, Ashley did clear a lot of your debt, but at the end of the day, he's not good for your club, is he?
No. You can see, as you say, you can see St James's Park on TV. It's Sports Direct everywhere, and he had the balls, in my opinion. Just obviously the St James's Park, which we've been known for years and years, and since the formation of the club, we've always played at St James's. And in 2013, when he changed the club's name to the Sports Direct Arena, I honestly thought if he ever came to Newcastle, I don't think he would ever go out of life at that stage.
I think the thing is he's a businessman, isn't he? So he's all about making money, and he's not about the club. And I'm not saying that these Saudi owners are going to be the most passionate Geordie fans in the world. However, if they want to make money and they want the club to do well, then they're going to pump money into it. And at the end of the day, you can say all you like, but you need money to win trophies. So
Yeah, oh God, like as you know yourself, football's just money, and I don't. For me, as I say, I don't think the Premier League will stop it because they cannot afford, in my opinion, with the amount of money these boys are going to bring to the table, they couldn't afford to drop that type of dough. So, it will be it's quite a nervous time, but an exciting time to be a Newcastle fan because we've been crying out. Like as you, in my opinion, we're a sleeping giant. We just need someone to awaken
definitely,
us, and if we can get somebody in, like as I say, different chairman, like we had Lee Charnley, and the less said about him, the better. Again, just a lot of puppets from Mike Ashley, in my opinion. Like as I say, the only person that was never a puppet was Rafa
yeah.
Benitez, and as you can see, Rafa was threw out the door compared to all the yes men like Pardew and Big Sam and everybody else that we've had. So yeah, it's a nervous time and exciting time. But for you as a Chelsea fan, do you feel? I've asked this to all my friends who support bigger clubs. Do you feel intimidated by this? Do you feel like, oh my God, we could lose Champions League money out of this, or Europe money? Obviously, we're not going to be built in a
Yeah.
season, but maybe in 2 or 3 years' time. Do you feel as a Chelsea fan
I don't feel intimidated. I feel like I said before, I feel like it's more of an exciting time for the league because it's going to be more competition. It's going to mean more big games because now if you look at, like, no disrespect, if you look at Man City versus Newcastle now, Man City are going to win 9 times out of 10. Whereas in the future, if you guys pump money in, sign some world class players, Newcastle Man City and Newcastle Chelsea, Newcastle Liverpool are going to be big games. Like, it's going to make the Premier League more exciting. And I'm not, as a Chelsea fan, I mean, I'm pretty confident that we're going to keep spending money as long as Abramovich is in charge. So I don't feel threatened by it, but I just feel like it's definitely a positive for the league. It's going to make the league more exciting. But yeah, I think it's a positive. I mean, what are your thoughts on the whole manager thing? Because they've said that Pochettino is their number one choice. But I mean, is it fair just to throw Bruce out the door?
Yeah, that was good. For me, I've never seen Bruce show so much passion at a club than
Yeah, I
what he
agree.
showed at us. So again, his day at Villa was, I don't know, Sheffield Wednesday. He's had a lot of good clubs, and Bruce he's always been known as that manager just to keep you going and not really get a lot of credit. I agree with a lot of the pundits. In my opinion, give him a chance. Give him a year to 6 months. Give him one transfer window and see who he signs. If they're not any good, then yes, Bennett. But a lot of the fans aren't calling for his head. But Pochettino is number one because he did a project at Spurs. Like, look, he didn't spend any money last season and he got to the
Yeah, yeah,
Champions League final. If you give the same man unlimited funds with a team with a fan base in Newcastle, you're looking at a season that would be unforgettable for everybody in the world to see. And for me, it's very very exciting, and I just hope that one day I'm able to see my club lift a trophy. As I say, we haven't lifted a trophy since
yeah,
1968, so a trophy that's had major trophies, what we would say in football. So it would be nice to see them even lift an FA Cup, even a
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Carabao Cup, anything. I'm not asking for the league. I'm just asking for to see my club on a tour on a big bus and going through the city centre of
100%.
Newcastle. So it would be nice. But so bring it back to you and Chelsea. What, as I say, you probably would have been younger, but I remember I'm not much younger. I'm only a year younger or a year older than you, so I'm only 24. So when Mourinho
Yeah,
came in and the famous press conferences,
yeah,
he's a
yeah, yeah.
special one. What was your sort of expectation? Because obviously Mourinho was coming from Porto, or was it a Porto Inter? He was after winning
Yeah.
the Champions League, and was then obviously coming to use. So with Abramovich's money and Mourinho, obviously we see what Mourinho went on to do
Yeah.
at Chelsea. But what was your first expectation when he came through the door?
Um, Again, I was young, but I do remember. I just remember thinking that when he came and he was giving it large in the press conferences. I liked it. I mean, I love his confidence. He's just come from Porto, where he's won the Champions League against some massive clubs, and he's come over to England, which is the most competitive league in the world, and just said, uh, "I'm not good. I'm the best." And you got to admire that confidence that he had. And I didn't. if you say to me, do you think you're going to win the league the same year he joined back to back? I would have been said like no, because we hadn't won the league since 1950 or something. But he came in, he bought these players. I mean, he spent money. He bought Petr Cech, bought some other players that were like integral to our team, like bought Drogba, for example. But I wouldn't have said we're going to win the league straight away back to back. And then that season we had where we won the league and we conceded 15 goals all season. And like if you compare that to Liverpool, like Liverpool this season before it got stopped were class. Like their defensive record is unbelievable, but they've still conceded like double what we conceded back then. Like it just puts into perspective how good that Mourinho team was. And then to do it again the year after and retain the title was obviously unbelievable. But then you had the core, like the Chelsea legends. So you had Cech in goal, Terry, Lampard, Makelele, Drogba. Like that was the spine of the team. Sorry, and it's just that core of a team is unbelievable. Like you look at the strength with, like through that middle of that team, and then to put on either side, you got like Robin, you had Joe Cole, Damien Duff, Essien, Carvalho through the middle. It was just amazing, and obviously he then left and came back and won the league again. But it's obviously tarnished from a Chelsea fan. It has tarnished his reputation. The fact he's obviously gone to United, now at Spurs. I don't like. If you ask me my opinion on Mourinho, he's a Chelsea legend, and I love him for Chelsea. But also, he's not the same manager he was when he was at Chelsea. At Chelsea, he was just confident. Like I'm the special one, giving it large. Whereas nowadays, you look at his interviews and his press conferences, he just looks like he's a bit fed up of it all. I don't know whether that's on purpose or if he's fallen out of love with the game. But he's definitely his demeanor and his the way he carries himself has definitely changed, and I feel like his attitude towards football has changed personally.
Yeah, so like bringing it back to Mourinho, so as you say, I agree with him at Spurs now. He doesn't look the same. He hasn't aged well, I don't think, and that's probably just like as a football manager, you're under a lot of stress. But do you think his tactics are outdated? Because when you compare it to the Chelsea team that won back-to-back prems, like they were, as Mourinho was famously known as parking the bus, but I was a Newcastle fan. I've sort of seen that defensive tactic work. It was Rafa. So obviously dropping back and then moving quick and countering, and obviously when you had players like Lamps, you had boys that could pick a pass. You had Drogba who could find the net from anywhere on the pitch. Do you think now when Mourinho his tactics are outdated? Because football now is all about pace, as you can see with Liverpool's front three. You see it with City's front three. You see it with near enough every club's front three. They're all quick. They're all nimble. Do you think Mourinho do you think he's done basically? Do you think that's him?
I don't think he's done because I think a man like that and how he came over to Premier League and made that impact in the first place means he clearly has such a high like football IQ. Like he knows what he's talking about. However, when you mention it, is his tactics outdated? I would say yes, because if you look at the game now compared to 14, 15 years ago when he came to the Premier League, the game has changed so much. Like you said there, you look at City, you look at Liverpool, who are without doubt miles ahead of everyone else currently. I know Leicester are up there with City currently, but they're not. City and Liverpool, in terms of football, are the best two teams in the league by a mile. And the way they both play is play out from the back. Both goalkeepers are class with their feet. They then fullbacks. If you look at City's and Liverpool, like Liverpool's fullbacks, Robertson and Trent have got the assists they've got is unbelievable. Right. They play so high up the field, and then they both got front threes who are lethal. You've got obviously Salah, Mane, Firmino, and then you've got like Sterling, Aguero, and then whoever City play on the wing when they decide to mix the whole team up because they've got the strength to do that. Like the game has just changed a lot, and I don't think Mourinho has changed with it. I feel like his tactics. Obviously, he won the league when he came back to Chelsea once, and then we came like 11th the next year when he got sacked. But I just feel like he hasn't changed. He hasn't gone with the times. He kind of stuck in his ways, and maybe his stubbornness is going to be his downfall at the end of the day. His kind of reluctancy to change might be his undoing.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to get your opinion, as I say, as a massive Chelsea fan. I'm going to bring it back on what you said, as I said, to the spine of the team, with them famously, probably the 5 or 6 players. For me, for what player made you fall in love with more importantly with Chelsea? And then we'll maybe have a discussion what made you fall in love with football, for example. But what was your who's your the most famous person and your best player that's ever worn a Chelsea
Right.
shirt in your
So
opinion?
there's two players. So it's different. So the best player that I've personally ever seen in a Chelsea shirt is, in terms of technically, I would say Hazard. Like, when I watched,
Okay.
obviously when he moved to
Yeah.
Madrid, heartbroken. But when I watch him play, the only all I can compare him. Obviously, he's not on the same level as Messi, but him and Messi are so similar in the way that they've got such low like center of gravities. They're so quick, and he was just so like he made it look so easy. He wouldn't even do. The thing is, you get players like Ronaldo, Neymar, got all these fancy tricks and stuff. Hazard didn't need those tricks. All he did was drop a shoulder, and because he was so quick, he was gone. Like, and he just glided across the pitch, made everything look so easy. So I'd say technically he is one of the best players. I'd say he's the best player I've seen play for Chelsea. In terms of my favourite, it's a tough one. Obviously, you've got the legend. Obviously, Lampard's in charge now, so he is definitely up there. Just the way that
Yeah.
like his stats are unbelievable. His stats as a midfielder are
Oh,
literally out of this world. He was getting, I think it was 4 or 5 seasons back to back. He scored 20 goals. Like that's meant for a central midfielder. That's
yeah.
absolutely mental. This is when I have this debate with my mates all the time. Obviously, you have the Gerrard, Lampard, Scholes debate, right? And don't get me wrong, Lampard probably wasn't the best technically out of all those three. If anything, he was probably third. But if you
Yeah.
say in
Well,
terms of
yeah.
effectiveness in game, for me, he would be top because he scored the most goals out of all of them. He had the most assists out of all of them. Like, I get Scholes won the most trophies, but that's probably because he was in that Man United team of '07, '08,
Oh,
'09,
exactly. Yeah.
which was unbelievable.
Yeah.
But Lampard was just he was just mad. And obviously you got honourable mentions to JT at the back, absolute soldier, like unbelievable, one of the toughest players I've ever seen. And then again, pretty obvious, but you've got Drogba up front, who was the biggest big game player I've ever seen. Like, he scored in like 10 out of 11 cup finals.
Yeah.
That's mad.
Yeah, no, I definitely see bringing it back to your
Yeah.
Gerard, Scalzi, and Lamps. I've had this argument with my friends. So my closest friends would be a Skyser and two United fans. I've had the argument with them the whole time. I would pick Lampard over
Yeah.
the three of them every day of the week. This is going to cause a lot of controversy. For me, Steven Gerrard is not a Premier League legend. Now you can disagree with that, but for me, you need to be considered a Premier League legend. You need to have more records. You've obviously need to win the trophy. He can be classified as a European legend, obviously, for the Istanbul night alone. But for me, Gerrard scored a lot of important goals for Liverpool, yes, but not as much as Frank Lampard. And Scholesy was probably better
Yeah.
distribution of the ball than Gerrard. So I've caused a lot of arguments over a lot of me and my friends, but I just wanted to get your verdict on
Yeah.
as an England fan, who say you are, what if you were to rank your midfield? Would you say they're the top three to ever grace the England shirt?
What, in terms of central midfielders?
Yeah, just the centre midfielders.
Yeah,
If you want to
I was
include
gonna say,
Bex as a
I
like
would.
more of a
You got
one.
to throw those three in there plus Bex. Like Bex, again, he was mad. The fact that England didn't win a trophy with the team of, so if you were to rattle through it quickly, you've got probably David James in goal, Ashley Cole, John
Yeah,
Terry, Rio Ferdinand, Gary Neville. What a back four that is! And then you've got the four midfielders that you couldn't even squeeze into a midfield three of Gerrard, Lampard, Scholes, Beckham, and then even in that you've got Joe Cole, who was also playing for England a lot at the time, and then you had Rooney and Michael Owen up front. Like, that team is unbelievable. How we didn't win a trophy is honestly beyond me. But maybe we had too many good players in the same position. Like you said, Gerrard and Lampard never really seemed to work for England. Beckham, again, was used as a winger, which I don't like. His best position is in the middle, in my opinion. So it just maybe it just didn't work.
yeah.
But if you wanted to rank the three, like I said, I would personally put Lampard at the top, followed by Scholes, followed by Gerrard. Like you said, I wouldn't say Gerrard's not a Premier League legend because he has done a lot, but then maybe he's more of a Liverpool legend than a Premier League legend due to the fact he didn't win the trophies.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly why I would never say it. Because I would never put him down as a Premier League legend because he's never won the trophy. But as I say, he'll always be a Liverpool legend because he was a born and bred Scouser. So, I'm going to bring it back. As I say, I'm going to end the podcast later on because I'm actually enjoying this rant. I love the football rant. I want you to think now, just to give you your best Chelsea 11 of all time that you've seen live, that you've, of Chelsea ever played back in the day, and post Abramovich and after Abramovich. I'm just thinking, just to give you sort of that bit of a brief time.
What I'll do is I'll do the players that I've seen play, because I feel like obviously before my time you had class players like Peter Osgood, Bobby Tamblyn, those players, but I couldn't really give you an accurate representation of how good they are due to not seeing them. But right, so off the top of my head, so obviously you got Cheque in goal, Petr Cech, legend, absolute brick wall. Like, he was solid. Even after the whole thing at Reading where he fractured his skull, like, for a lot of players that would be game over. Like, you wouldn't either mentally you wouldn't want to play in goal again, or you wouldn't be able to because of the fear of what's happened. Like, it wasn't like he just like dislocated a shoulder or something. He literally cracked his skull. Like, it's mad.
That was a life-threatening injury, and I will never forget that. And were you there to see it live?
But I just remember watching it on TV because then Carlo Cudicini came on. He got knocked out, and then John Terry went in goal.
Oh yeah,
mental. So obviously right. Petr Cech in goal, Chelsea legend. Left back is pretty straightforward. Ashley Cole, in my opinion, the best English left back of all time. Just so good. Like, on the ball, going forward, defensively, he was solid. He was super quick in his prime. The fact we swapped, what was the deal? Did we do Gallas for Ashley Cole? That's a mad track. That is some superb business. So Ashley Cole at left back, and then you've got JT is a no-brainer. Partner would either be it'd be Carvalho. Carvalho was a solid centre half. Yeah.
Oh, really? So I thought you would have maybe went for Azpilicueta. Obviously now he's obviously the skipper of his now, but for me, I thought he would have actually slid in there because he.
Okay. Yeah, he's mainly a fullback because he's too fair. He can play right back, left back, or centre half. But I'd probably put him at right back. But yeah, Carvalho was a legend. He was solid as well. So there's the back four. Formation. What we're going to play? We can play a 4. Let's go over 4-2-3, 4-2-3-1. This is going to be hard because I'm going to have to leave a couple of midfielders out.
Okay. 2 defensive midfielders. I want to say you've left it quite tough there.
Maybe a flat 4. Then if I play a flat 4, I've got. Yeah, right. We're going to go with a 4. Yeah, we're going to go 4-2-3-1. It's going to be very controversial. The two holders are going to be. I'm going to play, right. So just before I say the two, I'm going to play Lampard further forward. So I'm going to play Lampard like in front of these two. So it's not a 4-2-3-1 with a number 10. It's more of like a triangle in the middle, like a diamond. Right. Yeah. So the holding two are going to be Makelele, absolute legend. He was so good. Like. He's like, he was like the back in the day Kante, who is Kante going to? I think Kante's got to make the team. You know.
I'm literally about to ask, do you put them two to side each other because they're so similar?
That would be an absolute wall. Like, you would not get through that. And if I'm going to play two, I mean, honourable mentions go to Michael Essien, legend. He was a unit and he was class. Also, Michael Ballack was a fucking class player. Who else? Yeah, so those 4 are class, but I'll play Kante and Makelele, which is again a brick wall you ain't getting through. I'm going to play Lampard just in front of them, and then 2 wingers. For me, Hazard's going to be one. Yeah, and then on the other side, it's tough because we've had some good wingers. On the other side is going to, this might be a bit controversial, but I'm going to go with Robin.
Oh wow! Okay, I didn't expect that. I was really thinking, yeah. So would you, based on that, obviously, because you've seen these players live, Robin, when you saw him, wouldn't have been the caliber, obviously, that he was at Bayern. To see that difference, would you pick the Chelsea Robin?
I would probably pick the Robin who he evolved to at Bayern, don't get me wrong. But at Chelsea, he was still class. However, he was just the only. Don't get me wrong. His cutting on his left foot is just his trait, and he was unbelievable at it. The only thing he did that annoyed me when he played for Chelsea was he'd go down too easily. Kind of the physicality maybe got too much for him, but technically he was world class. He's a proper player. And then it's a no-brainer with Drogba up front. But again, we've had some good strikers. However, none of them have really got near Drogba since Drogba left. Obviously, we've had Costa, who was a machine, and I loved him because everyone hated him. He's one of those players that everyone hated. Yeah, exactly. However, he would get in everyone's team.
Yeah, he was a wind-up merchant. I'll never forget. I think it was against Spurs or Liverpool. Diego Costa was literally just getting boys into a wild state, and that would have been one player if I was ever a pro. I'm thinking I hate going to mark this guy because he's going to get in my head and he's going to end up just kicking him in the shin or something. So I thought that is a hell of a team. I'm just going to ask you one question. If, as I say, as a Newcastle fan, just take one of them players out and that Chelsea team and replace it with a Newcastle player now, excluding Shearer, because I think that would have been a pretty easy choice. So you can take any of them players out, but replace it with one Newcastle. Now you can do it with anybody who's ever played with a club, but it's up to yourself. What would you pick?
Interesting. Okay, let me have a little think. Newcastle. When I feel like I remember Newcastle being too fair. Oh no, I wouldn't replace. I was going to say an honourable mention to a Newcastle player who I think was class was Papi Cisse. That season he had.
Oh, the wonder goal.
He scored one with the outside of his foot and one on the edge of the box where he just volleyed it. That was unbelievable. Yeah. To be fair, another good player who you boys have had. I mean, to be fair, Michael Owen was good for you.
Well, he had his days.
I feel like injuries probably ruined his career personally. Who would get in my team?
Big time.
Just trying to think.
Thought I'd just throw a wee curveball in there because he's not thinking Newcastle players. He's not.
Let me just think who you've had who. To be fair, a good player who you boys had was Wijnaldum. Obviously, went to Liverpool and he's doing good there.
Would he replace? He wouldn't replace Lamps, and he wouldn't be an older midfielder.
Fair, you're the Newcastle fan. Give me some top players. I can't think off the top of my head who would have a chance.
For me, the first thing I was going to think of would have been Shay Given and Nets. I would have replaced. That would have been probably for me. I would have been number one. Obviously, I'm an Irishman. He's been my hero all my life, and I loved him every day. So that would have been me. Would have replaced Cheque. I cannot replace Ashley Cole because he was an absolute unit, and as I say, he was bombing up and down the wing for fun. The centre backs, I'd definitely not touch JT. He was and still is a beast. I loved him, even though he did get a lot of backlash, obviously, for the scandal of cheating. So, I wouldn't. Trying to think, would I replace him? I say we wouldn't have as many famous or as good centre halves as you. So, and left back would probably be untouchable. In regard, I would maybe replace Robin with
Robert back in the day. I remember playing FIFA 05, and I used to bang in free kicks with Robert.
For me, and I will happily have an argument with anyone who disagrees. He has one of the best left foots in the world, other from Messi. I would say second best left foot I ever saw. That man was a dead ball specialist. That would probably actually, now I'm looking at your 9. Obviously, I would replace Shearer, but as I said, I've taken Shearer out of it. I would probably replace Robin.
That's a good shout. I think I would go along with that because Robert was a bowler back in the day.
Yeah, I was a dead ball specialist. I've named. I don't want my viewers to listen. I've already done my top 11, but it was good to hear yours. And as I say, it was just nice to get a bit of a scandal in there and throw a wee curveball in there. So, but Curtis, I think I'll leave it on that segment. Mate. It's been an absolute honour having you on, and because I say I could have went on longer and longer and longer and had a rant on about football. As the joys of having two good football fans, you can talk.
No worries. Thank you very much for having me on. It's been a good laugh.
No, Curtis, do you want to happy enough plug your channel
Oh,
away,
no
sir?
worries.
I
I
will
mean, you
happily
mentioned it a lot
let you plug away.
at the beginning, but yeah, if you want to go check it out, guys, it's called the Reality Cheque Podcast. Episodes coming out at the moment weekly. Probably end up being every 2 weeks, but special guests on the show every week from either reality TV or sports world. I've got a couple of footballers that I'm speaking to at the moment, kind of keeping that on the down low, but that's hopefully coming out soon. So keep an eye out. Go check it out on YouTube. Give it a like. Give it a subscribe. But yeah, thank you so much for having me on, buddy. It's been an absolute pleasure.
No, it's been an absolute pleasure, and hopefully we can collab again one day,
Perfect. Thank
sir.
you, mate.
It was an absolute
Cheers,
honor to
buddy.
hear.